This is question number 4 of quiz 12 for module 15 on the market value-based valuation models. Identifying comparables and valuation using PB, price-book ratio, and PE, price-earnings ratio. Panera Bread company's book value per share is $27.73, and its forward earnings estimate per share is $7.23. Since the following information is also available for Panera and a peer group of companies from the restaurant sector. So we're provided with a bunch of numbers: market cap, PB, forward PE, EPS, growth rate over the past 5 years, ROE, return on equity, and debt to equity ratio for Panera Bread and a bunch of competitors, which can potentially serve as the comparable firms when we value the equity price of our focus company, Panera Bread here. So it seems that the question actually starts from B. There's no part A here. Assume that you use as comparables the following set of companies: THI, PZZA, and CMG. Estimate Panera's equity intrinsic value per share using the PB ratio from these peer companies. So the first step for me is to copy this table, the table with all the information, into Excel. And that's what I did here, basically. And also I highlighted the comparable firm, the 3 comparable firms in yellow: THI, Pizza, Papa John's, and Chipotle Mexican Grill, CMG. So the first part of the question is asking us to use the PB ratio from the peer companies to value the intrinsic, to estimate the intrinsic value of our focus company, Panera Bread. And notice the rounding requirement: round answer to 2 decimal places. So first is to calculate average PB ratio of peer companies. So this can be done by just taking this average, by using the average function equals average and then open. I just choose the 3 number here. So C3, which is the PB for the first peer company, and then C4, that's the PB for the second peer company, and the C6, which is the PB for the third peer company, and then close that. But the problem actually asks us to round to 2 decimal places. So I'm using the round function to achieve that goal. So equals round and this average function here, and comma, and then 2. So 2 here stands for the number of decimal places. So that gives me 9.9291. And then I can use this PB ratio to value my price, intrinsic value of PNRA. So this can be done by multiplying the book value per share, right, 27.73, by this PB, because PB is price divided by the book value per share. Now, if you multiply by the book value per share, then you get back to the price. So again, I want to use the round function after I do the multiplication and round to the 2 decimal places. So that gives me 274.80, and then just copy that number back. And part C, use the same comparables as in part B and estimate Panera's equity intrinsic value per share using the PE ratio from these peer companies. So now we just, the only difference here is we need to use the PE ratio rather than the PB ratio. So again, I'm using the average function and take the average of the 3 PE, forward PE here. So D3 and then D4 and then D6. And then don't forget we're using the round function to keep 2 decimal places. And then intrinsic value of Panera bread. So this could be calculated by using the forward earnings estimate per share, which is $7.23, and then multiply by this PE ratio, right? PE ratio, because PE ratio is defined to be the price per share divided by earnings per share, and here the PE ratio is defined over the forward earnings. So I'm multiplying by the forward earnings per share to get back to the price, estimate for the price. And then don't forget we are rounding this to 2 decimal places. So this will give me 201.57 and copy that number back. So it's time to check my answer. And looks like we got the question correct.